So guys, today we're talking about keeping your kids safe online. And I know that for me, with my kids growing up, the internet was definitely not a new thing when they were growing up. But I have a 19 and 20-year-old, and but it definitely wasn't to the level that it's at right now. And kids weren't walking around with cell phones. They didn't all have social media accounts when my kids were growing up. But it was all a growing trend. And so I know for me, I had to start dealing with that a little bit while I was raising my kids. And I can't imagine what parents of young kids are doing right now to help protect them from seeing or experiencing things that you as a parent don't want to, because you want control over how you raise your kids, and you kind of feel like you've lost some of that control with the way that people are presenting things online. Mm-hmm. So
Well, I kind of feel like we should take an opportunity to age you a little bit. Like, what was it like when you were a kid?
Back in your day.
Like,
well,
can you still read the Dewey Decimal System?
Well, I mean,
can.
electricity was new.
Excellent start.
So,
But you went to the library to research your books and stuff.
Oh yeah, went to the library. Had to look everything up with the
Dewey Decimal.
Yeah, the Dewey Decimal System.
Did you have a microfiche? Do you remember
That's
microfiche?
what I was looking for. The microfiche. Yeah, and you had to move it around so that you could find what books you wanted and look at things.
I missed that level.
Yeah.
What about
I didn't have that thing.
Did you have an Encyclopedia Britannica in your house?
I did. Yeah, a whole series.
Ooh, all the letters?
I don't. Well, I don't know. My parents might have it in their attic.
Might be worth a lot of money now.
I don't know if you guys experience this with your parents, but every, I don't know, like 2 years, I get a new box of things that was mine when I was growing up, like delivered to my house because they don't want to store it anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or just something my parents don't want. They feel like we can either deal with it or get rid of it for them.
Yep.
Yeah, so both of those things happen. So did your parents care about your education and to the point where they were helping you with your school, or were you just a good enough student where you just did all that stuff on your own?
I was not a good enough student to just do things on my own. I did need a push. Oftentimes, because I grew up in the 90s, I was a latchkey kid. And so my parents were both, in their careers and doing things. And then I'd come home from school and be on my own until nighttime. Basically,
I have to
figure stuff out.
I feel like I'm about to throw my mom under the bus. Yeah. I was not a latchkey kid, but my parents were both working, so I don't really know what I did after school to the time when it was time to eat.
Yeah,
we did chores.
I rode a lot of bikes. I rode my bike a lot.
Yeah. Did you have a Nintendo?
I did not have a Nintendo, but I had a friend that had a Nintendo, and I envied him. It was amazing to go
Nintendo
and
was
play.
I had a Nintendo, the first one, that Nintendo Entertainment System, and if my mom took it away, it was I pretty much thought I was gonna die. I remember one time I was with my best friend Eric. He was my next door neighbor, and I was this close to tears, and I was like, at least we still have our bikes. I think we can live. But that's all we had. We had.
So you did have a Nintendo.
I had a Nintendo, which is probably why I'm good at Mario Kart.
That's probably.
Cool. But I'm not as good as some of the folks at this company that practice a lot. Scott, Damien, and Jason. Please, for all those out there, please feel free to make fun of them. They're amazing at Mario Kart. It's a weird thing to be amazing at. But yeah, so I guess the point is my parents didn't have to worry about any of this stuff.
Yeah.
No.
I had an Atari.
Oh, that. Wow, you really are old.
Yeah.
With the joystick.
With the joystick, yeah.
So you played Pong?
I played Pong and Tank. Those were two very awesome
I don't even know what
games.
Tank is.
You're too young.
Do you remember Pong?
I know what Pong is.
Okay.
Didn't play.
Did you have a game system?
We had Sega.
Oh,
nice.
Sega.
Genesis.
Yeah, Sega Genesis.
We're all kind of old.
Yeah. What was your first computer?
I don't know. It was those MacBooks. Remember when they were colored, the Zoolander ones?
Yeah.
Those ones.
That's cool.
That with the big bubble on the back?
Yeah, like the teal or the yellow.
It had like a
back.
handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had
Yeah.
a handle.
Yeah, those were one of the first computers we had, but we really just had my mom's computer, and then we had like the big ass cord for the dial-up.
Yeah.
And she had her own separate phone number for work and for internet purposes. And then every time we pick up the phone, she would get super pissed and then scream at us from the opposite
Nice.
side of the house. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So your mom worked from home. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's early.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
She's a consultant, and so we built her whole office in the garage, and then so she stayed there.
She's a lot younger than us. So the internet was a little
That's
bit
an excellent
more
point.
prominent.
That's an excellent
Yeah.
point. Yeah, definitely younger than us.
I was the first Facebook generation.
Do you remember the printer paper that had like the perforated edges?
Oh yeah, my dad would bring it
yeah.
home from
Okay.
the hospital, and we would draw on it.
Okay, so you do
Yeah.
remember. All right. So
I'm
you're not
in the
that-
middle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're in the middle. So then, on the gaming side, what about one of the things that I was thinking about beforehand? One of the biggest things that my kids ever got scammed on was on a video game.
Oh, how?
My daughter, it was before Face ID on iPhones,
Mm-hmm.
and my daughter started a game that was a paint by number puzzle thing. So I mean, tiny
Mm-hmm.
little game, nothing. They charge us $200 a week.
What?
Yeah, and I mean, I was
Weak?
a week. I had to hand it to him. I wasn't even mad. Like I reported it to Apple, but I was like,
Wasn't even
dude,
mad.
this is the most, this is the most like bravado thing I've ever seen.
Was it an actual scam, or that was just their pricing
business
That was
model.
just their-
Yeah.
That was their business model. They marketed to kids to do. They would market to any kid who was playing these other normal paint by number games.
So all they had to do was click on it and
Click
say,
on it and
Upgrade.
start. Boom! They charged our Apple account
Wow.
$200 a week. It was amazing. I was broken up. I found it immediately. $200 was a fortune. So now it might take me a day to find.
Oh my gosh.
I had a friend. Her son spent $5,000 on Fortnite, actually, because he didn't know that it was connected to her Chase account.
Oh my!
And so he was just playing, doing his thing,
The in-app
and
purchases.
upgrades and skins and dances or whatever they buy on Fortnite. A bunch of them later, and it was like $5,000, and she was pissed.
Wow.
Yeah, she was
That's like your
also
Snap-on
broke
Tool
enough, but
story.
still.
It is like my Snap-on tool story. My son. Oh, you weren't in the last one. My son, we made him an authorized user on our credit card, and he got a job at a mechanics store. And the Snap-on tool truck shows up like weekly at like mechanic shops.
Yeah.
And he would go in and he would use our credit card as an authorized user to buy Snap-on tools,
Yeah.
and he racked up like $3,000 in Snap-on tools before we found it.
Does he even do any construction or anything now?
He works on motorcycles now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they at least they're being used some.
Oh, they're my tools now.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. Everything he made at the mechanic store, he used to pay off
Perfect.
the tools that he bought.
Do your kids play games?
Yeah. They have. Because I didn't have a Nintendo and I always wanted one. We made sure that when they were growing up, they had like Xbox and I would play with them. And they had Nintendo.
So you-
and they-
You wanted to play.
Yeah.
It wasn't really for them.
yeah, and I wanted to play. Yeah,
I totally bonded with my stepson over Zelda. It was awesome.
Classic.
Yes, because I was good at Zelda, and so he couldn't figure out some of the things, some of the puzzles and stuff, and then it was like, I think that was what got me in for sure. He was like 6. It was on the Nintendo Wii.
So with your kids growing up, like what age did you feel it was appropriate for them to start like looking at social media or even have a social media account?
So my kids are, my stepson just turned 24, and then 20, and then 15. So they've all kind of grown up at different stages of like the development of social media and stuff. As far as online specifically, my kids don't even go online unless it's for school. They could care less. It's only social media stuff.
Same.
It's Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok.
Yeah,
Those are the 3. I think it's in the order of Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, and that's like where they would be on social media. And for the older kids, that stuff just wasn't as popular when they were younger. So we didn't have to worry about it a ton. Actually, I don't know if you guys remember, TikTok used to be called Musical.ly.
Yes.
And then it was only little tiny music videos. That's all
Yeah.
it was. Yeah. And so they were on Musical.ly when that's what it was. And I didn't care. I mean, it was like these kids doing dance videos, like their age, you know.
Exactly.
It all made sense. And then it just became this like giant monster that it is now. But I've pretty much let I don't know if I'm lucky because of like the way that like their age, but I've pretty much let my kids do the social media that's been available to them because they've been old enough to where we would like talk about it as time goes on. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not like I have a 6-year-old now with TikTok being what it is today, because I would not be okay with it. Because you don't know how, all the dark rabbit hole that somebody can go into on those things. Instagram, TikTok, everything. So I think I would be a lot more stringent today if they were younger.
Yeah.
See, that's where I've fallen because mine are younger. So my kids got their first device when they were 10. That was the rule. And we were really strict on social media at the beginning. But then when we got custody of my 2 older girls, they came from a different background where they could have any app under the sun with no supervision, no parental controls. And I had to balance that against the 2 that had, the basics. And so we had to do a lot of work to try to solve for how to blend that together and find the rules and the boundaries between the 2. My girls have the top 3, the Instagram, the Snapchat, and the TikTok. TikTok is number 1 in my household. My son is the only one he only has TikTok. Nobody else is allowed. Because I don't trust him yet because he's the baby of the family. He's only 10. But we've already had issues with the girls going down those dark rabbit holes, not knowing what was going on because there were no real good parental controls yet. And they were making the fake accounts. I don't know. Do your kids make the fake accounts?
Spam accounts?
Spam. And it's called spam. Why is it called spam? I don't know. It was like 18 M's at the end.
That way that other kids can find it.
Yeah. So random.
Yeah.
I had heard Finsta.
Finsta?
Yeah, like a fake Instagram.
Oh, yeah. Cute. No.
But essentially, it's a spam account.
Yeah,
but my favorite is they think that they're being so sneaky, but they link it to their phone number. And because I'm like, if you're going to be on social, I have to be a friend. I have to be able to access what you're posting. And so when they, make another fake account, it's like, hey, do you know spam? Yeah, still know you. Thank you for that added account. But it's really hard. It's
so
hard
your
to
threshold it was like 10. You feel is
and I wasn't.
It's
I
like
didn't love
where
it.
you can start dipping your toe into it.
Yeah.
Is that because of like the social pressures? Because like my sister, she did not let her kids have TikTok or Instagram until they are 14.
Yeah.
And so she held strong for a long time.
What do you feel like the threshold is?
I don't know. I mean, I think so. One of the things,
if you had a younger kid now,
if I had a younger kid, and I think the relationship between the parent and the kid has a huge part of it. Mm-hmm. If you're involved with the kid and you're like a part of their accounts, their friends. I think it's really important to know their friends, not just know your kid.
Yep.
So like we're connected to all our kids' friends through social media, and I think my wife has streaks on Snapchat with like 20 of my daughter's friends that go like 45 to 60 days. Like, you know what I mean? So like we just kind of stay involved. I think I would be okay if I still, and I know that I don't know everything. Like I know that my kids could absolutely be doing something that I don't know. But I think it is, if you're like that engaged with your kid all the time, I think I'd be a little bit more on the lenient side of being okay with them, like around maybe 8 or 10.
I agree.
As long as I know their friends.
Yeah. Would you be surprised to know that 33% of 5 to 7-year-olds have a social media profile?
Actually, no. I don't know if you are.
I think it makes sense. I just think, like, what are they doing on there?
You know what I mean? Like,
that's what I thought it's weird is that
get it,
a lot
I guess.
of the parents
I would have never
run
even.
that, though.
It doesn't even enter my mind to allow a 5 to 7-year-old to have a social.
Because,
media
like, for
profile.
example, I have one for my son that I run. I know I said he's not allowed of Instagram, but I have his Instagram account because I'm already posting highlights for sports because we have recruiters already looking at that young of an age.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, I could definitely see a parent creating accounts, like creating YouTube channels and stuff for their kids, especially in the sports.
I guess I can see a YouTube channel.
Yeah, YouTube channel for sure.
But it'd be under the parent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
a lot of parents that I know in sports have YouTube channels for their kids.
Well, there's a lot of parents on the other side of it that think that their daughter, oh, they're so cute, let them have their own little dance channel.
Right.
Which that it would never fly in my house.
I guess that's the thing.
Yeah.
I only have boys, so I never.
Yeah, the girls, that's where it's weird. Like with the boy, it's all sports and he just looks at stupid stuff, whatever. But the girls, those are the ones that I'm like, can you not? Like, you can't just like everybody's stuff. Like, you need to, like, understand what you're liking, who you're letting like your posts, and what you're putting out there, because it's going to be out there.
Yep.
You bring up a good point on the boys versus girls. I think, in my opinion, on the boys' side, you can see a lot of stuff that can jack up your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, totally see women objectified. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that that's positive for a kid who's potentially going to be in a relationship one day.
Agreed.
That's the kind of thing that worries me on the boys' side. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they all face the same pressures. Like bullying I really worry about bullying, so I try to stay close to it. Mm-hmm. So far, we have not, in our family, we haven't had a problem with that, but as far as my kids have told me. But at the same time, like, that's one of the reasons why we stay close to the friends and stuff like that.
100%.
Because they would tell us if there's problems. Mm-hmm. And I'm like sort of deathly afraid of bullying. I got a nephew who was like, we thought he might have been bullied, which it turned out to be just a mistake. But it was like, I can't stand that stuff.
Yeah.
And especially like such formative years, like you don't want a kid like leaving this age of from 12 to 20 or even younger, whatever, feeling like they were bullied. Like
Especially on social media.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a good place,
right?
It's supposed to be a good time of life. Something you look back fondly on. Maybe it's awkward, but not. You don't want to think about being bullied all the time.
No, never.
Yeah.
So, what do you think has been the best way for you to keep control of your kids' social media presence and what they're doing and their activities online?
Good question. So back to Rick's point about being close with their kids, we've been trying to find that balance where I don't want to be too strict while we're in their mix all the time and I'm like, checking their phone every day. But at the same time, I need them to know that there are boundaries and that if they are going to go down a dark rabbit hole, I'm going to find it. So what my husband and I have kind of installed in them is random checks. So it's not like an everyday thing. It's not a once a week thing, but it could come out of the blue. I come home from work one day and I'll just do a big old phone sweep and I'll be bluntly honest with them, like now or never, like now or hold your peace kind of a thing. Like, do you have something to fess up to or are you acting right? And then some of them will say, oh, well, I got this going on or whatever. Or I'm clean. Okay. We'll take their phone and then we do invade their privacy. I will fully admit it. But I also feel like you're under my roof, so I have to teach you. And if you're hiding things, I have to find it. That's literally my job as your parent. So then we'll go in and we'll do a massive sweep of all their social channels, their DMs, everything, their search history, whatever it may be, even their text messages. But like we found out that my daughter was talking to some guy through Xbox chat on her phone, and some guy who lives in Texas. What? Absolutely not. You're done.
How old is she?
Yeah.
She's 14. Absolutely not.
Wow.
Absolutely not. So that was done. She still hasn't. It's been almost 3 months, and she still hasn't had her phone. She's done. That, and then we found all the multiple accounts, and then the content that they're posting. I was like, if you want to post and like do like a cute like selfie or your cute little dance moves with your friends, you do you, boo. But like, you're not gonna sit there and sing lyrics like "F you, F my life," this, that, and the other, and I'm so depressed. Yeah. Like, if that's what you're feeling and that you feel like you need to get out there, then I have a bigger problem than what you're putting on social media. I need you to come talk to me.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. And then we'll go through the comments. Like, what are they saying to other people? Like, do I have grown men that are messaging you? Like, absolutely not. And so we do a sweep like that, and it's worked. The first time I did a sweep, we had all kinds of drama on all 4 accounts. Second time I did the sweep, I only had drama on 2 accounts. But I will say that it was less dramatic than it was the first time. It was, making fun of another guy or whatever.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Talking about.
But it goes to what you're saying. Like, if you have a relationship, and that's what I've noticed too. Like, when I first got custody of my older girls, there was no real relationship. They got thrown into a very strict household overnight. And so their social media was off the chains.
You had to build.
I had to build it.
Yeah.
So I had to build the trust and I had to build a relationship. So then when we did the second sweep, they've been in the house for a year, understanding the new rules. It was like night and day. And then they understood the consequences immediately. And they're like, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
So it goes to your point, like you have to have the relationship with your kids. You can't just, you could have restrictions all day, but if you're not having that relationship with them, it's just going to make it worse.
I think it's about how you react to it too. Exactly what you're saying. It needs to be a safe place so that if they do something, they're not afraid to talk
Exactly.
to you about it. Or
Totally
tell you about
agree.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you're just gonna like come down, like a hammer on them every
Right.
single time they do something wrong.
No.
Yeah, we had something similar where my son, when they first got their social media accounts, he was interested in this girl, and so we were watching their social media stuff, and they weren't really posting, or they would post, and then I don't know if your kids do this, but they don't want too many posts in there.
So they keep deleting them?
Yeah, so
or they put them in drafts?
Yeah, so they keep deleting them. So it goes, they'll have one post or 0 posts,
So they just post on their story?
No, they just post. They post, but then
they take it down.
Then they take it back down.
Is it because they want to be like a little too cool for school?
Yeah, like they don't want anything on there.
I honestly don't know what the strategy is.
They don't have a social
I
media
keep
strategy.
asking.
I'm trying to understand the strategy.
I have no idea what the
I'm
strategy
too cool to
is.
post all the time, or I'm worried about what my parents might see. It's one of those two things.
Maybe a combo.
They don't post any like family pictures of us
Nope,
either, which is like ridiculous. But
it's rude. That's what it is. It's rude and it's hurtful.
yeah, it's hurtful.
Now I see why you're frustrated. You're never gonna have any memories.
I can't tell you how many times my wife we would go away for a family vacation, backpacking or something, or climbing, and we'd come home and my wife would post something on social media about it, and she would tag our kids for the next like week. Are you going to post about it? Are you going to post from
Like
our
repost it?
Are you going to repost from our family
Oh
vacation?
my god, I've not done that part yet.
I think my daughter's stuff is so cool. With now she's like snowboarding, and both the girls, they're snowboarding. They can wake surf, and I want to post it. Like, get it off.
Yeah, I'm never allowed to post about them, and I'm like, why?
Like, get that off of there. They don't want anybody to see that.
Well, my sister goes all the way to the extreme where she won't let any picture of her kid be on social media at all. So, like, it's been a real struggle for the grandmas on both sides because,
Well, what about the social pressures there? Like, don't you think that kid's friends are like, what's going on?
Well, she's like,
it's such a common thing for them.
her whole argument is that it's his choice, so I'm not going to put any pictures of him online until he can decide whether he could have his picture online. Like, it's
that's
a fair argument.
That's a whole nother
It's a whole nother topic.
for sure.
Well,
But
okay.
that is a good point, right?
Yeah,
About like what is it better to restrict and monitor or to teach and and train? And that's kind of, the UK just released their online safety
That's right.
policy. And I don't know how much of it you guys have read, but looking through it, there's a lot of, there's both sides and a lot of controversy around it on whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's definitely in the more restrictive side of things around. And so people I guess on the surface, it looks like, they're eliminating illegal content, which is great. But
Sure. Yeah, I read the statement that things that are illegal offline are now going to be illegal online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, things that might be, hurtful or bad for a child to see or look at as far as content. They're also putting that in the hands of the platform providers to decide whether or not that should be seen by a child.
Which audience?
And so, how do you guys? I mean, as a parent, I would want to make that decision, and so that's I think where a lot of the pushback comes, because then now you're starting to restrict some freedom of speech and some other things.
Yeah, I think the free speech, there's definitely an argument that they're going to restrict free speech.
Yep.
First of all, I don't know how the hell they're going to actually enforce this stuff. Yeah, that's like beyond me a little bit. But then the concept we're talking here like as parents, and sure, I don't want my kids seeing all that weird stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You know?
but what's weird to you may not be weird to
Me.
somebody else.
That's an
like
excellent
Sarah.
point.
Cue laughter things, guys.
But for me, it goes back to being if there's any implication that my kid could be bullied, I'd love for there to be extra help to restrict something.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know, or if there's an implication that my son could see something that's going to make him objectify women, I would love for that to be restricted.
Yeah.
And then I guess, but to your point, I guess that's potentially up to us to decide what would cause him to think about what it means to objectify women. I don't know. I mean, I think that the law, it's like they're trying to boil the ocean and try to get so much done in all this time. And I don't know how they're going to get people to admit to what their true age is when, you know, as one of their enforcement tactics is to have people like verify their age.
Yeah, it's the same thing with alcohol sites. Okay, just put in somebody else's birthday, and it's like, okay.
Yeah,
right.
So anyway, I think I just don't know enough about it, but I think it's going to be really, really difficult to actually make an impact. And
we had a thing in our house. It was like a network hub with parental controls on it. This was years ago. And they were just coming out with all these different ways to monitor what type of content's flowing through your house. And you could go in and you could toggle things on and off as far as content. And it was really bad because it would catch some really good websites and it would let some really bad ones through still. And so it was still coming, the technology was still being advanced. But now I think with this policy, one of the other things they're pushing for is to allow adults to tailor what content's flowing into the home based on these toggles. And so that would mean that internet, people are writing content for the internet would have to in some way send that through like a meta tag, like what type of content this is.
Yeah.
Until they get some sort of AI that probably can scan it and understand like what's offensive. It really is. Yeah, what's offensive or not. But that just seems really overbearing. Like there's some topics that we all know are just probably universally bad. Like you don't want your kids to ever see. Nobody would want their kids to see or do
anything about suicide, terrorism, pornography. I don't want my kids a part of any of that stuff.
Yeah,
at all. Yeah.
But then there's other things that, one parent may see as something they want to restrict or keep their kids completely off social media and away from everything. And another parent might want to take a different approach on how they're going to deal with that.
Well, it's similar to how they rate movies, right? So like it could be rated R, but it could be some parents could think that's fine and some parents could think PG-13 is fine. Some things,
based on the content of the movie.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you use it? You mentioned your phone sweeps. Do you use any technology?
We use just what Apple provides, and we can go through and I have them on my family plan in Apple, and then I can say, how much time they're allowed on the screen, what sites they're allowed to go to, what they're not allowed to go to. They can have like an hour for TikTok and then 2 hours for Instagram if I wanted to. Like I could get pretty granular that way. But as of now, I haven't felt the need to get anything. Like I know there's a system that's called Bark that's pretty awesome that like goes in and reads their content basically and like gives you alerts, which is awesome. But
you can limit screen time and all kinds of stuff in Bark, right? Yeah.
There's good stuff with that too. Like, do you share location?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know where they're going. Yeah, which has been pros and cons because my girls know that they do that. And so they're like, yeah, pick me up at my friend's house. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the address? And then they send me a pin. And I went to like this neighbor's house and I was like, oh, no, you're definitely not where my children are. That's my bad,
That's funny.
But there's also weird apps, speaking of location, there's weird apps that really aren't considered social media, but they're like GPS apps. And those freak me out. I don't know if you guys have seen those.
That you can fake your location?
Like Life 360.
Oh.
Well,
no, but they like share it with their friends and they can share it with their community. I'm like, I don't want my community to know where you are.
Right.
Like, why is this a good idea?
We share locations with some friends and stuff. Like we've had some friends that like started dating again and stuff.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah. But I just don't
Facebook used to do that. Like you could check in at
that's right.
restaurants
Yes.
and everything. Or,
But like Life 360, like it just sends pings like as you move, I think. And I was like,
well, you can see how fast your kid is driving.
yeah. Oh, on Life 360?
Yeah.
Noted. Mine's maybe take it, rewind all that back. Maybe I want it back after
there
all.
are good benefits to that.
Pros and cons to every
There
app
are
then.
pros,
Yeah, you can see.
But
exactly
showing
how
your
fast.
entire neighborhood where you're at is not necessarily a good thing.
No, I would agree.
Let's maybe have, again, boundaries.
Yeah, like Strava, the fitness app, they realized that there was potential danger with people posting the pattern of their running.
Yeah.
And so they'd post it and see the start and stop. And so then other people would know. So now they they block out kind of like the first half mile of where you start and stop and all your running.
It's just so sad that like you think that that'd be such a cool app and like whoever's into fitness would use it when there's so many bad characters out there that are like, yes, I know her route.
Yep.
Like, no,
I
I
know, it's
can
terrible.
go be a bad person.
Mm-hmm. So your technology, you use the Apple stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't use any parental control technology other than some basic Apple stuff.
Did you guys? But to take Sarah's approach, did you guys?
Did you invade their privacy?
Yeah, start grabbing cell phones and looking at apps.
No.
And
We don't.
so it's like the wild, wild west at your house.
I know.
Basically.
If my daughter
She
sees
has a burner in
if my
her
daughter,
pocket, it's fine.
if my daughter sees this, she's gonna be like, "Don't even think about it." No, but I will say that, like nobody's like coveting their phone and being like, "Don't touch my phone."
See, that's awesome.
Have you tried to touch their phone though?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's like, "Oh, use mine."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like,
that's good.
Yeah, for sure. I would say that's definitely part of the culture.
Did you guys have any problems with your kids, like watching too much YouTube or looking at too much social media so they weren't getting their homework done?
All
and
the time.
all
It's
kinds of
still a
stuff?
battle. I had to reduce their screen time so much when we first got their phones. I'm like, and I tell them all the time, like, you know, you can live your life without TikTok, right? Like, you can brush your teeth without TikTok. You can make a snack without TikTok. Like, it's not going to kill you to put the phone down. But
So I definitely agree that that's the newest distraction. But like kids in the 70s were not doing their homework either.
correct.
Yeah.
You know
Fair
what I mean?
point.
So that, like, yes, it is super addictive. Which I don't have TikTok. I can't. I don't want to give myself that opportunity. It's like, talk about a time suck. But then, you know, that's a constant problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a parental issue.
I have a friend that sends me all of these TikTok videos, and they're all about ways to be more productive. And
Stop.
I swear,
You gotta be kidding
no. And I just
Name the friend.
No, I know, but like
I give her so much crap about it.
that's so counterintuitive. Watch this TikTok video and you'll be more productive.
Stefan,
Oh
put
my
down
gosh.
TikTok.
But you mentioned the other thing that you had a parental control thing. Do you still use parental control stuff?
No, we got rid of it. I was just checking it out to see if it was worthwhile. But we took Sarah's approach when the kids were growing up. We would do phone sweeps. We just go grab the phone and start looking through stuff. Where we started having problems was, like, at one point we had no idea that they also signed up for a Snapchat.
Oh,
Yeah, things like that. And so we had to figure that out and really kind of just start to monitor conversation. And so what we noticed is there was a trend where DMs and Instagram were really popular for the longest time, and then it moved to Snapchat, moved to other platforms and stuff. And so it was
my kids don't even text. Like I text
Yeah,
my
my
kids.
kids-
I text my kids, and they'll respond in like an hour and a half if I'm lucky.
Yes.
Oh, I get days.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Oh, crap.
But-
I'm not
but
looking
yeah.
forward to that.
And then
Mine's
like,
so
oh, sorry, I didn't see it because it's not on Snapchat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you guys think, or what would you guys say are kind of like the top, I don't know, 4 or 5 things that you would recommend for parents that are trying to view things? Would you say technology and using some sort of control in place is the best way to go about protecting your kids? Is it family time and being close to your kids? Is it, something else?
I think if my kids were younger, I would absolutely have technology and controls in place. Absolutely I mean, because a lot of that stuff you can do behind the scenes, they don't even know, right?
Especially if you start them
just
young.
certain stuff doesn't work,
Yeah.
you know, and so then
Yeah.
they just live with that new world, you know, or the world that they would only know. So I would absolutely put technology in place. Now I'm at a point where my kids are old enough. It's got to be based on the relationship, and you know, seeing their ups and downs with how they feel about life and stuff, and hopefully,
So
hopefully
is the
they still willing
technology
talk.
to keep them from accidentally hitting something that wasn't intended, or to keep them because they may be curious about something, searching for something?
I would say accidentally. I mean, the curiosity part I think is fantastic. You know, hopefully they'll land on Neil deGrasse Tyson and learn some amazing physics, but but my guess is they probably won't.
Probably not. Can't say that's what they're searching for.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt that they will, but yeah, I think the curiosity side is still cool. Like, there's so much awesome stuff that you can learn. Like my one daughter, she's amazing at doing hair and makeup and stuff. And they learned all these cool things, all these fun stuff on TikTok. So I can't knock that part. They learned some cool stuff. So I would say more for them accidentally happening upon something, and then really the social interaction with people are so much braver and just such assholes when it comes to social media, whereas face to face they might not be.
Yeah.
And so that's where I worry. You know, that somebody's going to come at one of my kids through social media when in reality they probably wouldn't. You know? That's the stuff that I would be most concerned with. But as far as I think the relationship is key. But if my kids were younger, with the way things are now, absolutely would have technology.
Yeah.
For sure.
And maybe learning the internet together as they're growing up. I mean, it's not a new thing now, and it's going to have to be in their life. And so making that a part of how you parent, I think, and really starting to show them, and like, this is how you use it. These are the good things about it. There's so many positive things about technology.
Do your kids have email addresses?
Yeah.
Outside of school?
No, mine just have the school ones.
Mine just school.
Yep.
I bet my kids, by the time they get working, they'll only have work emails. I could totally see that.
Yep.
That's cool.
No more Hotmails.
I have a friend, one of my best friends still uses his Hotmail.
No, he does not.
Yes.
I love it.
Both my kids got email addresses, I think, for the first time when they signed up for a contest that required it.
Oh.
And they wanted to win. And then all of their college application stuff and everything goes to email addresses.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That are not school related.
Yeah. But to double back on your guys' question from earlier, I would take a kind of a blended approach as well. One of the big things that I really focus on with my kids is the optics of it. That just because that they posted it today and it's funny, and then maybe they deleted it because it's part of their social media strategy, it doesn't mean that it's deleted. So, and I don't know how the world's going to be in 20 years from now, you know, if they go, you know, to apply for college or they're applying for a job, and what if they pull up their social media accounts and they're doing some stupid TikTok dance, you know, or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to affect their future. So what I try to instill in them is to make good decisions. And if you don't want your 30-year-old self to have that video anywhere, maybe don't post it.
That's really good advice.
Yeah.
Maybe don't, but it blends into the parenting, because I don't want to take them away from the internet, because the internet's obviously not going anywhere. So they have to be able to be smart enough to navigate through it, but smart enough to know the optics of it and how to control the narrative so that they don't get slandered or bullied or anything else later on down the road. So
although technology is a good control, it sounds like parental involvement is the best way to protect your kids online.
Hopefully.
Right?
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Hopefully it's working. It seems to be. I mean, my kids' stressors don't seem to be stemming from online activity.
No.
That's good. That's a good point about what, like I think you actually mentioned that a while back.
Oh, when we were prepping, probably.
Yeah, what might happen in 30 years when you're trying to get a job.
Well, that's what I was saying. That was the first Facebook, you know, like Facebook came out like my senior year of high school, I think. And then
I was a little bit older.
I was too.
Sorry,
I was out of college.
Yeah.
But it was my freshman year, maybe something like that, of college, and I went home thinking that I was so cool with my Facebook page or whatever, and my dad brings it up, and we're at like a big old Thanksgiving dinner, and he's like, "Nice cake stand, Sarah." I said, excuse me?
No.
And my grandma was like, Sarah, what's a cake stand? I was like, oh my God. And from that second, I never put anything stupid like that, like as my profile picture or anything else like that, because I learned on the spot that once you post it, even if you change it, it's never going to go away.
That's so funny.
So, story, yeah, life lesson. Don't do cake stands. And put
There
it
has
online.
been a time when somebody posted something that I did the day before, and I called them immediately and asked them to take it down, but I'm not going to say what it was.
Thank you.
Did you have a MySpace?
Oh, classic.
Did you have a MySpace?
Yes, top 8 for life.
Man, I loved MySpace.
Why was it so much better?
Oh, because that's where I first learned to program.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you could bold things and you could do
that's
stuff.
right.
And
You could
I
put
think-
music to
yeah,
it.
you could put music.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing somebody say, man, I really wish they would make it so on Facebook you could like personalize your page more.
Yeah.
And then maybe add some music. And then somebody goes, or turn it into MySpace.
We should do it to teams.
Yeah. But yeah,
That's so funny.
that's a great point. Don't post it unless you want it there forever.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I got to talk to my kids.